happy Halloween. I hope you're having a fantastic Samhain, Hallows Eve, All Hallows Eve, whatever you choose to call it. I am celebrating with releasing the horns, uncovering them so they're out for the day. Wearing my lovely fancy Crystal Lake Boat Tour shirt. It's one of my favorite shirts. I wear it all year long, but you know, it's very special today. Anyway, so happy Halloween. I hope y'all are enjoying yourselves. I was going to do like spooky stories and stuff. It's like all the good spooky stories and subreddits have spooky stories have been covered ad nauseum. So instead of repeating the same stories, I am going to hunt down the funny haunted house actor stories. I personally worked at the top haunted house in the country for years, Netherworld Haunted House. And I gotta tell you, working in a haunted house is one of the best freaking stress releases you could ever have. If you were having a bad day, you go and you scare the shit out of somebody and you get paid for it. Oh my God. Best job ever. Man, I loved it so much. You gotta have a lot of energy though, and I lost a lot of weight in October. Anyway, so I'm gonna hunt down some really great haunted house stories from the actors because those were always the best. Okay, so this is technically the next day because the neighbor's dogs wouldn't shut the freaking frack up last night to let me record. Anyway, carry on. Let's just pretend like that didn't happen. Before I start with any stories I found on Reddit or, God, there's a bunch of different websites that's got some scary or funny haunted house stories. Before I start with any of those, I'm going to go with a personal one. I want to start with a story from my friend Spot. So one of our most annoying customers that comes here with like the big jock guys that think they're, badass. Well, it was a group of those that came by, and Spot, I can't remember what he was dressed as that particular night, but he was dressed as something scary, obviously. And he jumps out to scare them, and the big tall dude in the front that looked like he was a football linebacker, apparently he's like, ah! And then he passed out. So Spot, oh shit, killed the dude. And Spot's leaning over the dude and is like, dude, I'm sorry, you okay? You okay? And the guy wakes up. And he starts to cry. And a few seconds later, Spot realized why he started to cry. Because of the smell. So, not only did this dude pass out and cry, he also shit his pants. I am fairly certain that, the monster that scared you to pass out, leaning over you to see if you're okay, probably didn't help the whole shitting your pants thing. But I'm betting that he didn't live that down because he was with a group of friends, so... The more badass you try to be, the funnier it is when you crap yourself. We call that the haunted house trifecta. Just a quick FYI. This is my friend Spot. Dressed as a gummy bear, pole dancing with Santa in the background. I cannot play the music because of copyright reasons. I can't remember what song it is. But, so yeah, this is the person we're talking about telling the story that made a linebacker, pass out, cry, and poop his pants. You never know what's going to scare the crap out of you in a haunted house. Okay, now for some found stories here. When I was maybe 16, I worked a couple of nights to get some volunteer hours. My room was mostly dark with glow-in-the-dark masks from the movie Scream painted all over the walls. I wore all black and the same mask. They'd walk by, you'd scream, they'd scream, I scream, and then everyone would move along. About halfway through the first night, my cousin, who is the same age, came through with her friend. Instead of the usual scream, I slowly moved up next to her and whispered her name in her ear. She screamed and hit the ground. They had to carry her out. She refused to move. I still giggle a bit when I think about it. This is actually a common story, and I've had it happen to me. But I've heard a lot of people tell similar stories, especially when their friend or relative have no idea that you work there because they're probably not going to recognize you and they're going to wonder, how in the holy hell on earth did they know my name? In my case, I have two aunts who are twins, Wanda and Rhonda. Wanda knew that I worked there, I believe, but Rhonda did not. So she came through, and when I saw her, we had several different boo holes where you'd pop out and do different things. But I saw her in the first one, and I realized it was Rhonda, not Wanda. They might be identical, but you can tell. So I could tell it was Rhonda when I got to my next place to pop out at her, instead of popping out, I asked her where Wanda was. She just totally freaked out and is hitting the guy in front of her. I had one other place that I popped out at, and I scared her, and she was screaming, "How do they know me? How do they know my sister?" I never told her that I worked there, and I remember hearing her telling the story to somebody. So, but I didn't tell her. So I don't know if anybody else did. She had no idea. It was great. It was classic. 5 stars recommend. It got cold. Standard jump scare scene. A guy with a demon or whatever mask pops out, spooks the tour, then disappears back behind the wall. Ooh. But I guess the guy got a little overzealous. The demon pops out. "I'm gonna eat your ass." "You're gonna eat my what?" Demon recedes into shadow and myth, leaving more questions than answers. That's fine. This is fine. Perfectly normal. In the heat of the moment, sometimes you accidentally blurt out bizarre things. Remember a guy that I worked with at Netherworld that would try his best to just come up with the most random things to scare people? To scare people. Anthony. Can't forget Anthony. He would pop out and say, "Would you like to buy some aluminum siding?" One time he brought a bunch of bananas and just popped out and yelled, "Banana!" Scared people. It's not what you say. It's how you say it. But if you say something about eating somebody's ass, it's also a little bit about what you say. Side note, aluminum siding Anthony was also the toilet zombie in Zombieland. Anthony. Hi, Anthony. I worked at Universal Studios Orlando for Halloween Horror Nights and was a zombie in the streets near Mummy's Revenge. My favorite story was towards the end of the season when we more or less stopped caring. Oh, you gotta care all season long. We had this large lady being pushed in a wheelchair through our zone. One of my coworkers zombied up to the person pushing the wheelchair and gave them a look to say, "Give me the wheelchair and don't tell the person." It's a hell of a look. It's a lot portrayed in one look. I'm sorry. "Give me the wheelchair and don't tell the person." So my coworker began pushing the wheelchair without the lady noticing. He pushed her probably 50 feet, and she turns to say something to whom she believes is pushing the chair. She screams and runs out of the chair, out of our zone. My coworker breaks character laughing, throws his arms up in the air and says, "I am Jesus." Zombie Jesus just made her walk again. That one's actually pretty funny. I don't have a comparable story. I feel obligated to mention that not everybody in a wheelchair is 100% unable to walk, but they still need their wheelchair, and I really hope that lady's okay. Okay, this one's just weird. Okay. Background: I worked at a haunted forest, fall 2011. A path led visitors through some shacks A path led visitors through some shacks which were decorated up for the attraction. My shack was the hospital and had 2 rooms. Operating room and morgue. A group of people would come through the operating room. I'd hear them scream and chatter. And that was my cue to get ready, as I had about 5 to 10 seconds before they entered the morgue, where I was positioned. Well, one day this young/middle-aged Asian man came through. He wore a full suit, and he was alone. I didn't hear him scream in the room before me. I just heard a faint, "Hello? Hello? Hello?" with a heavy accent. I'm not going to try to do the accent, sorry. He got to my room. I was too confused to react, but he just looked at me, bowed, and said hello. He walked around my little morgue room with his hands held behind his back. I think he thought it was a museum or something. So I just, "Hello. Hello. Nice day we're having. Lovely decor." I could see this happening. As an actor, I would be rather confused as well. I'd be like, "Hello, you're so polite. What do I do?" Just make yourself at home. And for some reason, that video seemed to take for freaking ever. Mainly because it took a couple of days, so it did really seem to take forever. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I kind of enjoyed telling the story. I wish it hadn't been so long since I worked at Netherworld, because the stories that I used to hear all the time, everybody would tell back and forth, and the things that happened to me, I sat down and tried to remember them, and my brain went, "Nope, no memories for you." So I had to refresh my memory. All my nether spawn, miss you guys. If you enjoyed my content, if you like that video, click the like button. If you like my stuff, go ahead and subscribe because it would be awesome because you are awesome. And